I want to come to you, Dr. Saravanamuttu, there in Sri Lanka. Is this now about getting the Rajapakshas out? That once Gotabaya Rajapaksa is out, completely out of power in a few days' time, that will result in the situation returning to normalcy? Or is this a much longer fight in Sri Lanka?
Well, yes. I mean, the first thing that has to happen is that President Rajapaksa must send in his letter of resignation to the Speaker, and then the Speaker can take over and form the interim government. And that interim government, I think, should say that it will abolish the executive presidency by a two-thirds majority that can happen in Parliament, and then set a date for the general election. And on the day of the general election, we can have the referendum with regard to the executive presidency being abolished. So there are a number of steps that have to be taken, and hopefully there will be a great sigh of relief when Gotabaya Rajapaksa hands in his resignation. So then we can work according to the Constitution and get ourselves back on track.
So is this an anger, from what you're saying, Dr. Saravanamuttu, is this anger against the Rajapakshas and the manner in which they are seen, to quote some of the protesters, looted the country? Or is this just anger against the political elites of Sri Lanka who are seen to have got themselves divorced from the public, who are struggling at the moment, particularly because of the economic crisis?
It is both. It has a particular focus with regard to the Rajapaksas and their mismanagement, their incompetence, their corruption, and all of that. But it is also extended to the political class.
N. Ram, your sense, has this all taken you by surprise? Did you imagine you'd ever see scenes of the kind we've seen in the last 72 hours in Sri Lanka, the presidential palace being taken over by the public?
Nobody could have expected it. I certainly didn't. These scenes throw you back to the French Revolution, that sort of thing, except that the scale of violence has been a lot lower. And people have been, for the most part, peaceful and orderly. There have been some incidents which you would expect. But yes, this is a total surprise, the rapidity with which the whole political process sank. And I think the economic crisis has clearly been the driver of this. The rest has been added on, because that's what I think really brought about the downfall of the political establishment in Sri Lanka. To the extent that people don't trust most politicians, it's going to be a very big ask to be able to form some kind of stable, at least temporarily stable, all-party government. Because those actors who have played havoc with the system earlier are still at play. And the Rajapaksa, the people who have been in the Rajapaksa party, the SLPP, are still going to try a few tricks. That's my sense, unfortunately.
So are you seeing, Mr. Ram, that this is a prolonged crisis, that this crisis can only end when Sri Lanka first gets its economy back on track? It's not just about changing of guard in terms of political elites. It's also general elections, yes, but also a return to some kind of economic normalcy.
Yes, and for that to happen, I think there must be a credible all-party government in force, which is not, where people are not quarreling with each other, they're not playing tricks, where the focus is entirely on, it's not going to be easy to normalize this economic situation, I think, because there's the deep debt, complete trap, the default, the rising prices, hyperinflation, all this, it's going to take a while. But for things to improve, I think the international institutions and donor countries and the creditors will be looking to some kind of credible arrangement. So that will have to be put in place. I don't think elections can be held in the near future, or even in the, it's going to take quite a while. Elections will not be the answer. It's providing relief to the people, bringing about a certain stability, or at least arresting the fall of the economy, I think is going to be crucial. And, you know, those steps can be taken only when a credible all-party government is in place. That's the problem here. So there's not going to be any easy or, you know, it's going to take quite a while to bring this about. And I hope India can contribute constructively to this.